Not only is Dimmu Borgir coming out with a new album later this month, but for the first time in 20 goddamn years, an actual, factual Hunter the Reckoning game has been announced. None of that bullshit, choose-your-own-adventure book shit that keeps getting flooded with Steam. An actual fucking game. Do you know what that means? That's right, kids! The age of Aquarius is over, and it's the new age of the Mall Goth. Bust out those EDM tracks, get your favorite industrial metal albums out. Mine was always Sinistar's Future Shock. Strap on your trip pants and your man skirts, and get ready for today's episode of the Indie Roundup Cross Shark Week Special, brought to you by UPN.
Disclaimer. The United Paramount Network would like to clarify that we had nothing to do with this production.
Yes, they did. Ready, boys?
Ready!
That's right. Today's campfire session of Strange Tales from Stranger Lands features 4 stories of Trve Kvlt indie madness, 3 of which were provided by friend of the channel, Asahi. Thank you very much, and why you gotta do me like that. Yes, 4 tales of the strange and macabre to tickle your fancy without putting too heavy a strain on your wallets and asking the questions, should Necro have listened to the AI in the first place? Our first tale gives us a look into a world that has been infected by slick, black, oily goo that definitely isn't concluse, and asks us the ultimate question of duty, sacrifice, and whether or not inspiration is enough when it's all you're wearing in public. Cover your shame, oh naughty developer. This is no vacation for an executioner. This game is going to be a people's favorite indie game of all time, but not mine. It's the living incarnation of obtuse, and can only ever be loved in spite of itself.
Oh man, why do I always get the PlayStation 2 horror throwback games? Why can't I have the throwback to, like, the 7th generation mascot platformers? Fine, I guess we're doing this. Again. Developed as the debut project from J.O., no vacation from... I'm sorry, I just realized that guy's name is J.O. What the fuck? Developed as the debut project from J.O., No Vacation for an Executioner is billed as an action RPG despite having literally no RPG elements. In its place, it has an unfortunate name though, so I guess it's not a total loss. The game features a stark, nearly monochromatic color palette with muted and diminished splashes of color thrown in for a very powerful but subtle accent. It's almost like Kingdom of the Dead, only more inventive in how it stretches and utilizes the more limited palette. Being that it's a throwback to PlayStation 2 horror, that means a lot of inspiration comes from Silent Hill 2 and 3. So you know, certain enemies' animations will be somewhat familiar, and of course, there's the soundtrack. Okay, so the developer went far harder than they needed to, and the payoff is incredible! The Silent Hill-inspired animation and soundtrack, the Bloodborne-inspired setting, and the visual theming around the starkly muted palette just come together to make an atmosphere that is almost unforgettable! Almost! Hey, what did that AI say about digital noise? Oh, right! The biggest problem with the overall presentation of Hot Executioner Summer is that it's all ideas that are literally none of its own. Maybe the way the palette is used could be, and maybe one of the enemy designs, but even the latter, not really. The biggest problem with the game is that there isn't a single idea of its own driving the aesthetic or atmospheric philosophy of the game, so it feels less like its own thing and more of a mod without any original assets. The game can be fun, it gets really fun, and it will be endlessly memorable to a lot of people, and we can't fault them for that, but you're getting expelled from university for blatant academic dishonesty. These aren't your ideas, and you're not using them to the best that they can be used, so why are you charging me money for this? What about the story? Some goo called the oil that's definitely not Concluse is infecting everyone and they're becoming monsters! Again, definitely not Concluse!
Here it comes! Get ready!
Did you even stop to mourn me?
Yeah, turn this up.
Did you ever stop to wonder if maybe me and my baby had survived?
You still had the baby?
My body was ravaged by the blast. But yes, I carried it to term.
Please enjoy.
It was healthy and perfect in every way. I took care of it as best I could. But a few days after it was born, it passed away. You will never understand what it feels like as a mother to have your child die in front of you.
I'm so sorry, Autumn. I never meant for any of this to happen.
Oh, please. Keep the theatrics to yourself. I don't trust a word out of your mouth. You let my baby die. But my baby deserves more. So instead of letting it die, I put it back where it came.
Back where it came from?
Yes. I put it back inside of me. Back in its mother's womb. My baby didn't deserve the fate you gave it. It wasn't fair. No one deserves to die like that. No
It's
one.
fucking games sometimes.
You die at the start of the game and are tasked with getting to the bottom of the problem to restore your family name and full life consequences, and it's really just Bloodborne. 15 endings and a story where literally nothing will be explained and none of it really matters. Also, there's no voice acting or sound effects for when the game forces you to sit through a cutscene introducing a character or a boss. And you know what? Sure, there's a massive lack of originality in everything that isn't direct gameplay, so how is that gameplay? It's insanely clunky, broken jank. It's painfully unrefined, and all of this is done on purpose to create an experience that can be fun sometimes, but is designed to be frustrating and just blatantly unfair that any fun is had, despite the mechanics, and never really because of them. Enemies can put you into a lengthy stun state that gives them free follow-up attacks. This sounds like a standard punishment for playing too poorly too consistently, and literally any other game this would be true. Get good! But on multiple occasions, an area's standard enemy would hit me, put me into the lengthy pain state, and then hit me again, putting me back into this lengthy and uninterruptible recovery state on repeat until I die. And then there are the snipers. They exist to ambush you long before you would reasonably see them, or if you know where they are, long before the game actually lets you do anything about them from zone transitions. It's just there to punish you for playing the game. What was it Darkside Phil called it? Beginner's traps? Add these factors to the slow, input delay driven clunky combat in which half the time hits won't actually stun the enemy, and they will hit you before you're allowed to recover enough to block or parry, and we're getting somewhere on just intentionally poor design choices. But what would a game with just incredibly bad combat be without multiple bosses in a row that you can literally stun lock to death? You're an executioner, so you have special post-combo execution attacks that knock the enemy over, giving you a chance to heal, or get more hits in to build your execution bar for the next one. Multiple bosses will get stuck in a loop of execution attacks, get knocked over, hit 3 times, they stand up, get hit 3 more times before they can swing, and then execution strike. Do you see the problem? So the game literally just forgets its own programming half the time to make basic mook enemies unstoppable killing machines, but actual bosses a sad joke. And that's when they aren't just respawning because you made the mistake of closing and restarting the game. So everything is intentionally slow, everything is intentionally clunky, and everything barely works properly half the time. And despite that, it's still kind of fun. When the game is working well, using parries, rapier strikes, running back to avoid certain attacks, and just learning and overcoming enemies can be enjoyable. Not truly engaging in a way that activates monkey neurons, but almost enough to fill a weekend, I guess. And then 4 minutes into a play session, everything just starts breaking. Then you add in the obtuse story, locations, quests, and endings. Where is anyone? I was told to go through a prison to find the king, but after going through the prison couldn't find said king. Was told to kill a monster in the catacombs, but couldn't find the catacombs. Was given a book and told to use it to poison the church. How do I do that? I'm getting infected by the oil? Where? How? In what way do I track or manage that? Literally 0 answers are given and none of the mechanics are explained in a way that actually tells the player anything about how to play the game, what mechanics to learn, how to track them, or where anything even is. Special hymns when used increase your intelligence. I had to ask in the forums just what that even means. It means it gives you crafting recipes or teaches you more songs to play on the harpsichord depending on which one. Why? Why does nothing in the game say that? Was I supposed to intuit that from weird descriptions? Why? How? This isn't a cryptic game design, it's just blatant disregard for paying customers' experience. The quest lines and relationships really just don't matter because literally everything mentioned previously. This is somewhat how Souls-likes work, only way worse. If you want to make your game a little more opaque, you have to do what developers did back in the PS2 days and give your players a manual. No vacation for an executioner can't do the bare minimum of what it takes to make a decent game. So why would anyone expect them to take any kind of extra steps to go that extra mile for the customer? Demanding money from a player, making everything so incredibly cryptic that the translator has to tell people how to actually complete the game, and literally every idea being one you just took from something that's more popular, isn't Souls-like or PS2 horror design. It's just being a hack, and kind of a jerk.
I'd like to give a massive shout out to the lengthy, unskippable scenes featuring 0 voice acting, 0 sound effects, and 0 music. A little effort goes a long way, and Bad But Genuine will always be appreciated far more than just never even trying in the first place. So thank you very much for that, J.O. Strange, confusing, and a little obtuse for us it may be, there really is something truly special packaged here, if you've only the heart to find it. Our second tale focuses once again on that PlayStation 1 and 2 era style of graphics, making me question just how much the AI really was trying to warn me, and asks us to examine the great horror of the mundane, tacos, and maybe a little bit of rooskies. What monsters lurk in your apartment complex, and how well do you truly know your own neighbors? This is Don't Open.
Do you want a taco? Do you? Do you find every thought you have's about it? Do you wake every second you're without it? Does it feel like your very soul's on fire? A burning desire. Do you hate anyone who keeps you from it? Would you do anything until you got it? Would you slay 1,000 zombies if it meant you were gonna get one? Do you want a taco?
You can swear by $2 games. You can swear by free games. But you can't trust a 99-cent game. It's either pure gaming kino or complete bin juice. There is no in between.
A rising style of horror in movies and gaming is the exploration of mundane horror. That is to say, things that are horrific, but are made even more so by just how commonplace they truly are. Don't Open bills itself as yet another early PlayStation horror game where you must deal with a persistent knocking based on real events. However, in the attempt to explore these events and the real terror surrounding them, the game kinda falls flat on its face. You work at a taco stand, and it's a painfully dull segment where for 10 minutes at a time, you will slowly wait for the tortillas to heat up, apply meat to it, apply some nebulous sauce to it, and then hand it over to the customer. The true skill mechanic comes from hoping the customer only wants one taco, as for some reason the developer decided to only allow the player to heat up one tortilla at a time. Oh, and sometimes it just becomes Russian for no reason. Anyway, after the painfully long and painfully slow workday that adds nothing to your life but certainly detracts from it, you head home to your apartment complex and an old man named Nikolai spends a minute telling you about your neighbor's domestic dispute record. Then you go to your apartment, click on 3 things, and then go to sleep. Shortly after, you're awoken by a knocking at your door in which something only slightly spooky happens. And then you go back to sleep and prepare for the next day. This repeats, and on one of the nights you have to mop the hallway, but no matter what you do on the 3rd night, someone gets killed and you are presented with 3 choices. No matter which one you pick, the ending is always the same. Your neighbor brutalizes his wife, a cop tells you that, and then it just fades back to the title screen. No special cutscene based on what choices you made, the cop's dialogue barely even acknowledges what you say to him, and then right back to the title screen. So the story is empty shock value that doesn't even manage to shock due to how it is presented. The thing you spend most of your time doing is sitting around waiting for the lavash to heat up and... Wait a minute. Lavash? That's not a tortilla. And this giant slab of meat. That's not used for tacos. This isn't a taco stand at all. That's kebab. They lied to me. They lied to me. They lied to me. They lied to me. They lied to me.
The graphical improvements and animation improvements over the original breathe great life into the remaster and really show off just how much even a little budget can I help you?
They lied to me. Will you get out of here? They lied to me, though. They lied to me.
Am I bonita? Go to commercial. Go the fuck to commercial!
The Crypt review will return after these messages.
Wednesdays on UPN. It's everybody's favorite corporate acquisitions and sexual harassment suit saga, Daryl Fries the Monsters. Follow senior accountant Daryl as she files earnings reports, tax documents, and obituaries for her enemies. Featuring your favorite episodes: Dark Souls 2, Salt Court, Ice Cream, Gary Fries the Monsters, the Halloween episode. Sluts Mackenzie learns the true meaning of Christmas and destroys the Hallmark headquarters. Gary's Day Out. That one episode that's just a bootleg DVD of Jujutsu Kaisen. And more. Clocking in at over 3,000 episodes, this series requires at least 4 times the autism to sit through One Piece, so what are you waiting for? Join us Wednesday nights for the pinnacle of high functioning with Daryl Fries the Monsters, only on UPN.
The 2-5 gum.
Hi, 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 hi.
Five gum. Okay, maybe it's not that bad.
Has this ever happened to you? Robot Masters got you down, Mavericks running amok, Boss Rush giving you guff, evil robot helicopters terrorizing your mall, last decade's model of the Mega Buster just not getting the job done.
There's got to be a better way. Well, fret not. The year is 20XX and we think your firepower should reflect that, so we're proud to bring you the new Mega Buster Z. Clear out all of your pesky zombie and special forces infestations with the latest from Light Technology. Great for escaped convicts and airborne mavericks.
Order yours today. Our operators are standing by.
Clean up! Register 6!
And now, back to the show.
Kiwi Forge and Timothy Vincent bring us our next tale, this time looking into early access. The apocalypse has come at the hands of AI and terrifying military-industrial arms races, and we're plunged into a nightmare hellscape in desperate search of meat. Beasts of steel, brawn, demonology, and endless hunger drive our desperate struggle as well as our opponents. Survival, quotas, and the true terror of a world left only with blood and assailed by a specter profounder than hatred and grief or the sum of a hideous crime await us. We're asked to consider the questions of potential contrasted against qualities that are available, and to take a much different plunge into supporting developers for a future when one is so clearly uncertain. This is Meat Train.
Developed by Kiwi Forge and one Timothy Vincent, Meat Train saddles potential customers with a question of a future so uncertain that even as this was being prepared, updates drove everything that was already available further into question. Not just what your mother calls a Friday night, this title asks the player to take a proverbial ride along a track that is unknown, unknowable, and fraught with confusing decisions that can never truly be traced to any sane semblance of game design. You are an employee of the GRM, a super corporation currently in charge of everything after an apocalyptic war fought by artificial intelligences. The Earth is polluted beyond human survival, the undead roam the Earth, the train hungers, and your employers demand an endless supply of meat with no preference proffered to the source. Inevitably, you will fail to meet your quota, and you will be labeled a rebel and summarily slated for swift execution and recycling into the product you once provided. From there, you meet the cultists who will tell you what you are supposed to do, just in case you had not figured it out yet. You must kill the GRM, though truly what that will accomplish on this pale red dot is unknown. Though perhaps it is merely the first step in rebuilding. The process of this begins the same, always and forever, as a single playthrough event like the games of old. die, and you must then return to the start and begin the process once again. You will acquire money as you do, with which you can purchase weapons that may show up at randomized locations throughout the map, but aside from that, there is no persistent progress. You begin each run needing to secure 100 meat, with the quota doubling each day. When you eventually fail, the meat cultists will contact you and ask you to feed them. Doing so will have them inform you that you must acquire a master boot disc in order to power the train after the GRM shut it down. This master boot once spawned at a set location, but in the build at the time of this production would spawn randomly in one of a few underground bunkers, and as a developer update, is slated to be given as a reward for feeding said cultists. Inserting this master boot disc into the train or failing to meet your quota will turn the GRM's machines against you, and you will become hunted. Normally this wouldn't be so bad, but the flying drones the GRM control actively crash into the player and explode, dealing an absurd amount of damage and risking a quick death. And die you will, over and over again. In most cases this is normal, and in many games it is a feature of the enjoyment, but Meat Train suffers from its current state. You see, meeting the quota is a problem in the early game, as enemy spawns will be painfully inconsistent, and even when the time of day turns that they become more reliable, will be painfully slow to spawn. So now not only do you have to manage that inconsistency and tedium in the spawning, it must also be reconciled with the fact that you must feed the train the same meat you need to stockpile. This is called resource management, but we will come back to how it becomes a problem. I have brought mention on how the GRM drones can deal unreasonable damage to the player, but this is compounded by a near impossibility to avoid it. If you are caught outside and one locks onto you, the impending results are out of the player's hands almost entirely. Death from them alone will be difficult to avoid. But now take this event into consideration. As I came into this fiend's grip, all was lost. I did not realize what it was capable of, or how to tackle it, and was given no recourse to better elucidate myself in this run. I attempted to fight these behemoths, and was immediately sent to the game over screen for my trouble. No, player, you have done wrong, and for it your progress must be reset. All your work, all that time, returned to the ether as if it never were to begin with. Normally this would be of little consequence. 45 minutes to reach that point surely seems as no great loss, but it's what that 45 minutes entails. A great deal of tedium, slowly waiting for zombies to spawn so I could meet my quota and fill the train simultaneously, slowly driving the train between the locations, hoping the master boot disc is at the bunker I went to, the slow, trudging interruptions of having to stop what I am doing and return to the train to refill my oxygen. Killing the same nuisance large tree-like enemies in the same location every single time, picking up the same weapons in the same locations, waiting out time of day changes for the zombie spawns, ending the day early by fulfilling my quota so I can simply start the day right here and get to work on what I need to. 45 minutes surely seems like no time at all, but when it's multiple minutes at a time of doing nothing and just waiting for the time to do the next thing so I can manage my tasks with my attempts at the GRM, the bland and unengaging enemies, to less engaging combat and shooting mechanics, the endless repetition of the same mindless tasks over and over and over, all to be undone in an instant, with less say than God gave those fools building that abhorrent tower. And then the update notes come. Melee weapons will now have durability. Instead of making the combat more engaging, the developer has chosen to simply add more TT as management. New enemies that require specific weapons, once again changing what, where, and how the master boot disc is to be granted to the player, and more. More that says nothing about how losing 45 minutes of unengaging tedium will be improved, and just more of that tedium. 45 minutes is but a small loss, but when it is so thoroughly unenjoyable, it is less desirable to attempt to reclaim, making that swift, unrelenting, and uncharitable punishment all the worse to bear. Who are you, O developer, to have taken that run and my planning from me so hatefully? In what manner of thinking do you believe I will then respond with such charity you denied me and recommend such a game to others? A beautiful post-apocalyptic game with an incredibly interesting premise, undone entirely by a game that offers players and purchasers no solid look into the future of where the game is going, or how it will even look when it gets there. Just a question of what outside of slow, plodding tedium could possibly be on offer. An early access game promises so much potential, but sometimes that potential isn't to be good. Sometimes it's the potential to worsen oneself, to expand on our worst tendencies, to take what flavor remains and dull it more down until it is mental grey mush. Sometimes potential only ever frightens or worries when no alternative perspective is presented.
What indeed does potential mean when all that is left is so confusing? What purpose does the one life to make the run style game serve when so much is left to tedium that must endlessly be suffered through? Do we imagine Sisyphus is happy? Do we care about his happiness, or do we simply turn to a different tragic figure for something a little less dour? Only you can decide. Potential in the face of drudgery, or simply moving on. Final Fantasy VIII, or just playing something else. I'll be returning to the game, but I don't know if I can really say it's worth it. Our final story, however, brings us back to the Trve Kvlt gaming platforms, itch.io, but then will drag us kicking and screaming back to the Steam store. Originally made for a 7-day indie game jam, then given new life through the help of everybody's favorite werewolf records of the gaming industry, DOS Man Games and Necronomicsoft, Ollie Hall gives us one last question as to whether YouTube's AI was trying to save me from myself with the remaster of his 80s slasher-inspired dinosaur horror title. This is Blood Mall Retaped. Proving one last time that I should have just listened to the AI, here comes a game whose Steam store page literally mentions Puppet Combo in the description. Originally created by Ollie Hall for the Dino Jam Game Jam in 2025, Blood Mall, through some unknown dealings we have no intention of investigating, got together with DOS Man Games and Necronomicsoft to create a nice, cheap graphical remake of the game with a promise of a sequel coming down the line. Inspired by 80s horror and slasher flicks, this game takes place in November of 1988 at a place I promise isn't Willamette Parkview Mall. While we went ahead and played the original for this little soiree, we're mostly going to ignore it as it was made in 7 days and is incredibly simple, and instead we'll focus on the remake as more was added to the game.
But Jesus Christ, what the fuck is in there? Sorry, probably shouldn't make you any more nervous. Here's your gun. Single shot break action shotgun. Old school. Make those shots count, or God help us all. Us boys will be praying for you. If that thing gets out...
It won't, Captain.
Radio in when you figure out what that thing is. We're sealing you off. Close the shutter!
So, late 80s. Scientists have been working on some sciencey stuff, and somehow that opens up a portal to the Triassic period to unleashing the Hastovenator, a sort of niche online theoretical evolutionary dinosaur. It's not real, is what I'm getting at. It's something the internet came up with as part of a speculative evolution creative writing circles and whatnot, like how Slender Man came from something awful Photoshop Fridays or whatever. Anyway, a dinosaur that can launch spill-like quills from its throat has turned the living crap out of the local mall, and you, a loose cannon cop who doesn't play by the rules, have been sent in to find out just what on Michael Crichton's earth is going on. Shortly after entering, you are introduced to the carnage a beast of pure malice will leave behind, as well as finding a few survivors. One is dragged through a hole in the wall, and the other you put out of his misery.
I'm not making it out of here. Just kill me. Please. Thanks.
before you encounter our maiden of the hour, the Hasta Venator. So you bait it out, shoot it, and it runs away and you have to go do that again. As you go, you meet a few characters whom you can convince to leave.
Oh my god, don't sneak up on me.
Oh, that's grating.
Yeah? Are you like security or something?
Oh, I've not missed hitting that on a regular basis.
Well, I didn't do anything, Mr. Policeman.
Holy Christ, I'm suddenly reminded of...
What, Shannon? I am supposed to be up for my job at Slothbo's tonight.
Get your butt in here now.
Fine, I will come into work now, bye. I should quit. They don't pay me enough for this crap.
Oh no.
See you like never.
Much better. So as we go along our way throughout the mall, we meet good old Ronnie McDonnie, apparently punish him for his sins and oh. Oh no. Well, we've decided that there can't be any witnesses and devised a plan to lure the dinosaur out to the police barricade, where we'll gun her down through the power of our friendship. We do this by stealing one of her eggs, dying multiple times, and running through the exit halls where, well, the thing I just said happens. But there were plenty of eggs, and definitely not TGRI or Dr. Luther Paradigm take those eggs to do nefarious sciencey things with, which we are then given a teaser for Blood Mall 2, wishlist today. It's cute, it's not complicated, and you don't do a whole lot, but with the remastering of the graphics, the added characters, and their fun voice acting and a mini quest added, the game does a great job at not just commanding its $2 price tag, but gives the player plenty worth supporting small indie developers for. A nice little soundtrack hits those 80s flick jingles just perfectly, and gives a short, tense track for when the Hasta Venator is hunting you. The graphical improvements and animation improvements over the original breathe great life into the remaster and really show off just how much even a little budget can I help you?
They lied to me.
Will you get out of here?
They lied to me though.
The graphical improvements and animation improvements over the original breathe great life into the remaster and really show off just how much even a little budget can elevate projects that were once just fun side things that most people, even as deep into the independent sphere as we are, would forget about a month on. $2, $3 if you want the soundtrack. Yeah, it's a very easy sell. One major flaw the game has, however, you can't fast forward dialogue, so multiple playthroughs are hampered a bit. But other than that, it's short, fun, good graphically especially for such a small project, fun voice acting, plenty of fun for the player to discover in what is ostensibly a 20-minute game, and even with the unskippable dialogue, a nice amount of replay value. That'll do, Ollie. That'll do. Zoop.
Clever, humorous, and inspired. What more could you ask for from the dark niches of the indie sphere? Well, a budget, obviously, but sometimes that is in fact asking too much, and we wouldn't want to be greedy now. And that, my salacious sycophants, brings our soiree to its conclusion. 4 tales ripped from the secret corners of the indie sphere, spread eagle for your vulgar delectation. I hope you enjoyed, and maybe you even found some sick treasure you could come to love, even if we here could not. A final special thanks to Asahi for providing 3 of these games, and fuck you for it. I'm the TheNecroswanson, and you can go fuck yourselves.
Under your bed, deep in your head, no longer dead, but are you awake? Not just a fad, makes you do bad, fucked in the head, but are you afraid? Are you afraid?
But aside from that, there is no persistent progress. Meh. Meh. Meh, meh, meh.
Yeah, we sure had a great time today, didn't we, kids? But all fun and jokes aside, I just wanted to take a moment to have a bit of real talk with you all. If someone you know, be it a friend, family, significant other, or just that one weird and quiet kid in the back of the classroom is listening to EDM, please encourage them to seek help. It's clear that they have shit taste on a level that was outlawed by the United States of America's Congress in the year of our darkest timeline, 2230. Their terrible taste in music is in fact punishable under the Admiralty's corporal punishment clauses and could result in up to 35 lashes at the mast and 3 years on a federal prison island facility. I was in fact required as a stipulation of my probation to provide you with this message. The show's over. I mean, it ended like, what, several minutes ago? You stayed through the credits, and for what? Did you want to see me in my little skirt a little longer? You know I'm hot. You know I'm fucking hot. You know I rock this shit like there's no fucking tomorrow. Don't fucking lie. That's why you stayed. You wanted to get one last peek, hoping you could look up my skirt. You fucking perverts. Go fuck yourselves.